Small businesses contribute nearly 60% of South African labour and 34% to GDP. But are red tape and regulations killing this important sector of our economy? Let's get started. Good evening and welcome to the Democracy Gauge. I'm Bongani Bingwa. Tonight we focus on doing business in democratic South Africa. Do our policies help or hurt entrepreneurship? The added challenges of water scarcity and recurring power outages mean many SMMEs are going out of business. In fact, 80% of them fail within 3 years in South Africa. And obviously, there are many reasons for that. But how easy is it to do business in this country? That brings us to our poll question then tonight. Is red tape killing small business? You choose from our standard 3 colors. Green is for yes, yellow for maybe, and of course red is for no. And you can interact with our poll on sabcnews.com. We extend the conversation to Facebook and Twitter. Remember to use our hashtags SABCDG25 and SABC News. Now, regulations are about ensuring a level playing field. It's about fair business practices. If everyone abides by the rules, success isn't a lottery. Anyone can participate, and if the market responds to your idea, you should do well. But are we applying the same rules for big corporations to the little guys? Our reporter Diabo Seto has the story.
Richard Mochechane is the owner of Joe Safe Brake Supply based in Davidton on the East Rand. His business manufactures, refurbishes and reconditions brake pads and brake shoes for cars.
Your other combis, they've got the bigger drums. Their drums have been skimmed and it is difficult to get the specific brake pads or brake linings for those cars. Like during your holidays, you can just come to me and you find that these bigger guys, they're closed. You can just give me a ring, give me a call, then I'll fix you up.
Richard's challenge is not having a suitable workspace. He says after knocking on the doors of the Ekurhuleni municipality countless times for help, he just decided to go ahead and use his home garage as his working space. And this has put him at a disadvantage with the South African Bureau of Standards, tasked with approving his products for quality and safety compliance. Let's go to the SABC. They can't talk to me when I'm working in a residential areas. I have gone to the municipality to give me the industrial space. So I'm between a hard rock and a hard place. If SABC cannot talk to me, and whereas the government cannot help me out, so what should I do? Should I stop? Rosh Mamabulo is the founder of Laura Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. He says it is unfortunate that laws governing small businesses are actually designed for big businesses.
Startups still have to abide by the same laws for big corporates. So we have this approach that small businesses are a smaller version of a big company, and therefore they need to be able to absorb the same laws that big companies have.
South Africa currently ranks 82 out of 190 economies in the World Bank's latest Ease of Doing Business report. The bank has noted 2 areas of improvement, like a reduction in time for online business registration and the better monitoring of electricity outages. But other impediments still remain, such as crime, corruption, access to markets and regulatory compliance.
One of the concepts that's coming up quite prominently is workshops as incubators, where we put up a hub where there is equipment, there's tools, there's machines, industrial machines, where entrepreneurs can come in and use those tools. They'll obviously bring their own materials, but the facilities are there.
With the national elections coming up, it is clear that whoever governs next will have a lot to do to appease and support the SMME sector.
One of the most difficult things that I have found is the inability of political parties to clearly articulate what their policies are on supporting entrepreneurship. Often they'll talk about, yes, we'll support, yes, we'll make money available. But specifically, how are you supporting them?
I will only vote for the political party that will help me, that understands me. I will vote for the people who are not sitting in their offices, who have got their ears on the ground, who know what we face every day.
Diabo Seto, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Well, let's introduce you now to a small business from Cape Town. It uses 3D printing technology to manufacture drinking cups using biodegradable polyester derived from sugarcane and corn starch. The chief executive of lifestyle brand Cup Village, Luvuyo Ndiki, joins us now from our Cape Town studios. Luvuyo, very good evening to you. Firstly, I mean, you've come up with quite an innovative concept. Tell us a little bit about your business.
Thank you very much, Bongani, for that. First of all, I just want to thank you guys for having me here this evening. So I think from my side, in terms of my business, you know, it's always thinking outside the box, you know. And every time you get stopped somewhere, you always have to find ways to be different compared to other businesses around you. So right now, I feel like I'm taking on what the country should do towards the next fourth industrial revolution, and that's why I want to push my business to the next level and make sure that I create employment for the country.
Has the regulatory environment been a hindrance, or has it assisted your business to take off?
Honestly speaking, man, it's been difficult for me. You know, I had to be very innovative to say, look, instead of just being a business that focuses only on manufacturing, we need to find ways to have revenues, because you have to pay bills most of the time. So that's where I became more creative to say, look, I need to be also managing talent, I need to be also doing events, so that I'm able to recruit for my business to survive. But I feel like I've not received the kind of support that I would have wanted from the government in terms of being South Africa's first 3D printing company to do such thing. And the only thing that you will see is just people just talking about it, but no initial effort to say, look, this is one of our own companies in the country. This company has a potential to create an employment. So for me, I feel like the regulations are just there to say there's a regulations. As other people would say, it's mostly for bigger businesses, not for us as small businesses.
So what would you have liked to experience in helping you start your business? What would you have liked the framework to do in order to encourage a business like yours to take off?
Look, Bongani, if you have like a sibling or a little child that you raise up, you take care of it. You know what I mean? You just don't expect that child to raise itself. You know, I feel like the government should play a much more very close role in terms of building businesses, in terms of when you pick and realize there's so many businesses that are out there that are doing this. Yes, there's incubators that are there, but for me, I feel like they're not in the certain level that the small businesses are thinking right now. I feel like the government should be headhunting.
Let me come in, Luvuyo. I want you to be specific.
Not just on us doing the applications for the funding, which when you do an application for a grant, it will take you about 2 months, and also the invoices that you send or the quotations, not even like the same period, so it also delay. A lot of things that are happening is that I feel like the government should headhunt these people and find these entrepreneurs that are doing these great things out in the country if they really want to create employment.
So I suppose then what you're saying is there's a lot of talk, but it doesn't always translate to practical assistance for people starting their little businesses. All right, we'll have to leave it there with you, Luvuyo. Now, a reminder, we've got a poll question that we're asking you this evening. Is red tape killing small businesses? The standard 3 colors, green is yes, yellow maybe, red is no. We'll share some of your views after the break.
In my time, I've truly seen it all firsthand. Angizwanga, ngizibonele ngalawam amehlo. Going through my photographs and reflecting on my memory box really brings back many life experiences that are bittersweet and humbling. In this, my homeland, I've entertained tourists and offshore traders. I've evolved from dealing with the battering system to trading foreign exchange. I've traveled to the ends of the world and tasted a diversity of culinary palates. To outsiders, I have lived alongside wild animals, tamed some, and collected livestock as wealth. So my memory box is overflowing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not bragging, but in fact, I'm breaking and hurting deep down inside of this heart of mine. Why? What for? I hear you ask yourself, my fellow Africans, friends and family. The images I have of me are those of the point of view of my onlooker, not those of myself, the subject at hand. I'm choking and suffocating at the chalice those anthropologists and filmmakers tie around me as some sort of grand name tag. Stories have been made and told of me, not of my own words. Films and graphic images have entertained millions of audiences at my expense.
In a UN report, scientists say climate change is getting worse.
1/3 of our food sources for the population come out of the ocean.
We spoke to people who have been directly affected.
We have lost a lot of cattle. Gemsbokvlakte, Tosca gebied and Jakkalskop. Everywhere you will see there's animals dying.
I've lost 2 of my cattle this January.
Africa's demand for clean drinking water is rising.
Drinking water is a top priority.
The next day when the water comes back, it's dirty.
I have implemented a level 5 water restriction, effective immediately.
Environmentalists seek solution to preserve the planet.
This is Cape Kirpa, which is also one of the endemic species that is only found within the Western Cape, so it occurs nowhere else in the world except in our water systems.
Welcome back. Is red tape killing small business? Well, let's go to our social media pages to find out what the views being expressed there are. On Twitter, Tugzin says white monopoly capital is not red tape, he reckons. Kluter says you can't compete, not even with the help of racial discrimination against whites. Losers. All right. Very polarized views there. I think one is blaming white monopoly capital, and the other one says there's discrimination against whites. How can anybody say it doesn't? Did they run a company? That's what that tweet suggests. There are some strong views on Twitter. Let's go to Facebook. Adam there says, yes, that is correct. Absolutely, says Dechasa. Yes, red tape has killed small business. We are sidelined. Those are the views on social media. Coming up next, we're going to interact directly with your views. All right, welcome then to the People's View. This is where you get an opportunity to speak directly to the show. Here's a WhatsApp video from one Thomas Ntusetsang.
I clearly agree with the topic today. There is a lot of red tape beginning a business in our country because of registering a business is a very tedious process. Applying for loans or getting investors is also very tedious. You get your labor unions, your labor laws, for example, the minimum wage, the political uncertainty. You get your construction permits, your gradings, your accreditations. It's a long process, and these small businesses, they do have forums which don't air their voices to the relevant stakeholders or departments. Thank you.
Get more frustrations there. Now, if you want to be part of the People's View in our next show, simply send us an email to dg25@sabc.co.za. At the end of this show, I will throw forward to tomorrow's topic. Now, your name is Bianca Hatting, and you live in Sophiatown in Johannesburg. Your story is coming up next.
The Kalahari Transportier Park is a large wildlife preserve and conservation area in southern Africa. Kalahari means place of thirst. The total area is 38,000 square kilometers. Approximately 3/4 of the park lie in Botswana and 1/4 in South Africa. South Africa embraced the concept of transportiers linking ecological reserves across national borders. On the 12th of May 2000, President Festus Mogae of Botswana and Thabo Mbeki of South Africa formally launched South Africa's first peace park. It has 200 species of birds, including vultures, mammalians such as black Kalahari lions, and large herds of herbivores, namely elands, springboks, blue wildebeest, and more.
The Drakensberg is the name given to the eastern portion of Great Escarpments, which encloses the central Southern Africa plateau. The name means Drakensberge in Afrikaans and is called Ukahlamba in isiZulu, which means barrier of spears. The Drakensberg Escarpment stretches for over 1,000 kilometers from Eastern Cape, then forms the border between Lesotho and the Eastern Cape, and the border between Lesotho and KwaZulu-Natal. It then forms the border between KwaZulu-Natal and the Free State, and next as the border between KwaZulu-Natal and Mpumalanga. It winds north through Mpumalanga, where it includes features such as Blade River Canyon, Three Rendezvous, and God's Window. The Drakensberg is the highest mountain range in the country, reaching 3,482 meters above sea level.
I use my name first and foremost. That's all I heard, and from using the name I got a small loan of 8,000 rand.
I remember there is a time la sa zama kumfunela umsebenzi.
Welcome back. Through the Democracy Gauge, SABC News has crisscrossed the country, profiling different South Africans every day. And today we're in Gauteng. In fact, if you go to our elections website at sabcnews.com/elections, this is what it looks like. And we've got our interactive map. And if you click on any of these markers, you'll find the stories of the individuals we have been featuring. And here they are. And today we are focusing in Gauteng, looking at Sophiatown, which of course has one of the highest rates of unemployment in the country, consistently measuring over 20%. But you know, it's not just about the numbers, it is about the people. Behind those statistics are stories of frustration and sometimes simple heartache. Here's Bianca Hatting's story.
My name is Bianca Hatting. I lived for a while in Sophiatown. We are standing here now in Sophiatown with the flat courts. This is the head of Sophiatown. When I was a child in Sophiatown, we could have walked from home to the shop, child alone. Nowadays, you need to send someone, an adult, with your child. Your child will be kidnapped or something. Even you as a big adult will get robbed. If you go back in 1994, you can walk clearly. You don't even see people smuggling anything. So I just want the government to stand up. Get more drug busts. Take those stuff out, please. I was 4 years old, so I couldn't really remember a lot. But what I could remember is that's the time when we actually started, how can I say, everything got poor. 1994, I remember my mother lost her job. She had a great job at Nedbank. So 1994, they paid my mother off. So they let some of the people go there. So also because my mother doesn't have matric, she couldn't go and find another job. As a kid, I always used to put cream on my grandmother's legs because she had a lot of knee operations. So when I grew up, I wanted to be a physio to help people struggling with their legs. And it was just one of my dreams, but unfortunately I couldn't finish my matric. Currently I'm unemployed. I'm looking for work, but it's very hard because if you don't have matric, you're struggling to get somewhere. I'm choosing red for government. Red is in a very bad condition. As for the government is also in a bad condition.
Well, one of the fascinating things we've been doing on this show is every day to return to 1994 to remind you of the build-up to that historic first democratic election. So, what happened 25 years ago on the 28th of March? Well, it was a pivotal moment, as the SABC archives remind us. 19 IFP members were shot and killed outside Shell House in Johannesburg, the headquarters of the ANC, as they clashed with security guards. It was a moment of brinkmanship gone horribly wrong. The country held its breath. What would happen next?
Who shot you?
But Baba, if ever ubonile mhlambe.
Can you get me his name?
My name is Praise God.
Praise God. Surname?
Mose.
Punguse. Okay. Praise God Punguse.
General, what happened here, and briefly what action are you going to take to prevent what's happening?
Well, shots were fired on Inkatha people marching towards the Shell House, and shots were fired from various buildings surrounding Shell House. Well, some of the shots struck the windows at Shell House and vice versa. So you can't really say what actually happened, who started the shooting. But various people on the pavements were struck by bullets, and various vehicles were also struck by bullets.
As I say, at that moment, the country held its collective breath because there was no certainty that the violence was not going to escalate. It's quite extraordinary how the history has developed, and we look back on events like that. And yeah, it seems all so long ago. Now, before we say goodbye, let's take a quick look then at the results from today's poll. Yes, say 84% of you, a whopping 84% of you feel yes. Maybe is at 12%. And only 4% feel that red tape is not killing business. So, I think that would go a long way in explaining the frustrations of so many people who want to start businesses but can't, and therefore can't provide the jobs that are so desperately needed by this economy. Well, thank you then for taking the time to watch and, of course, to participate in our show. Now, tomorrow, we're asking the children, will our children have a better future than previous generations? That means our poll is now open. It is the idea, of course, that we leave the world better than we found it. That's at the heart of that question. So will our children have a better future than previous generations? Again, you can choose from 3 colors: green, yes; yellow, maybe; red for no. You can also view, by the way, all the profiles featured on this show, today's, as well as, of course, the segments from previous shows. You can do that at sabcnews.com/elections. Now, if you want to be part of the People's View in our next show, send us that email, dg25@sabc.co.za. Thank you for watching from Fortune and myself. Until tomorrow, Good night.